Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today I'm playing with a brand new palette in my collection. This is Sickly Sweet from Blend Bunny. This was their Halloween launch from last year, and it's a great pastel palette, but it also has some depth. The Blend Bunny formula is amazing, and I really wanted to, I've played with this 3 or 4 times now, and I wanted to play more. So this is the eye look I achieved if you want to see how I did it, and don't go anywhere. Let's dive in, guys. I am so excited to use the Sickly Sweet palette from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. This is pretty new to my collection. This is the first video that I'm doing with the Sickly Sweet palette, but I have used it 3 or 4 times so far, and I think I want to do a halo eye. I really want to use the spectrum of the palette because most pastel palettes are just pastels, but this one has the variety of range in depth. It has pastels all the way to some really dark shades, a couple more mid-tone sorts of colors, and then it also has the shimmers. So I'm excited. I primed my eyes already with the white frosting shade of the Glamlight Icing Primer. I always use white if I can when I want to do a pastel look because it gives me a nice bright white base. So everything I'm using is linked below in the description box. Let's get going. I'm going to start with the shade Brooding. I think this is a dark green matte. Let's see. Yeah, it's just like a deep foresty green sort of matte. So I'll start with that in my outer corner here and my inner as well. Show you how new this palette is. I got this secondhand, shipped for 30 bucks. A little bit less than $30 shipped. I think there were tiny swatch marks in 6 of the shades. It was brand spanking new. Basically brand new, and I was really excited to get it, honestly, because I really like the idea of a pastel palette that also has depth. I really enjoy my Garden of Juvia's palette. Hold that thought. Let's now go into, I think I'll take Glow Stick. Same brush, I've just cleaned it off a little bit. And pastels have such a light base, usually a white base. They can be a little bit tricky to build. What I say for pastels is to just tap them in place, lay them down, and they're really easy to buff away, especially if you have a lighter skin tone. Maybe a little bit less so with someone who has more melanin in their skin, but on the whole, they're much easier to blend away than they are to build, or they can get patchy if you move them around too much. So anyway, what was I saying? I was saying I like my Garden of Juvia's palette a lot. I think it's a beautiful pastel palette. It's a nice size, and it's got a lovely range of colors. Of course, I think that there could be a few things done to improve it, but I like it, and I really like the shimmers that palette has. They're so light, they're so sparkly, beautiful. But I also generally prefer to have some depth in my looks. I enjoy the contrast. So this palette, I think it's a unique kind of launch for the Halloween season, but on the whole, I was just more interested in it because I like pastels. I knew that the Blend Bunny mattes were spectacular, and I was intrigued to find a pastel palette which did have the depth. Probably shouldn't have brought that color up here, but I already did, so maybe I can buff it away a little bit. It's okay, it's not a problem. I just don't really like to have my color capped in a halo eye. I prefer to leave it a little bit more open. As of the time that I'm filming this, it was yesterday or possibly the day before that Blend Bunny put on their Instagram that they had a cease and desist letter from somebody who wanted to make trouble over the word grunge, and they have the Sugar and Grunge palette. So they decided that it wasn't worth the fight, and they sold off all their Sugar and Grunge palettes and discontinued it. The owner of Blend Bunny had a really mature attitude about it, and she could have let it stress her out, but I think at the end of the day, she just decided it's not worth the fight or the drama or the expense. Let's just say goodbye to this palette and move on to bigger and better things. So the Sugar and Grunge palette was listed at 50% off. They sold over 1,200 units within 24 hours. Totally sold out. It's interesting because that palette did have some really different undertones. I considered buying it. In fact, I put a post on my community tab here on YouTube saying, hey guys, here's an opportunity if you wanted the palette. I do know a couple of people who got it. I decided not to get it because I have this one mainly, and I do prefer that this is true pastels with some interesting undertones. Sugar and Grunge was the columns of color, and I really enjoyed the undertones of two of the columns, like the lights and the mids, but then the darks were just kind of average. And the shimmer colors didn't excite me. I thought they were neat, kind of interesting, but not exciting. So partially those reasons, and partially because I have Sickly Sweet, I decided not to get it. But I have no doubt that it's, again, great formula, and I know that it was a favorite among a lot of people that I follow on Instagram. Okay, this is really pretty. Now for shimmer. I think I'm going to do the shade Cupcake first. I really like this shimmer. This is lovely. So let's put that in the center. And I enjoy doing it with my finger if I can, because I'm working with the looseness of this format where it's just kind of lay down some sparkle in the center and then on the crease, and it's pretty. Now I'll take Sprinkles, which is the green, like a minty green shimmer. I'm tapping this right on the edge where the shimmer meets the mattes. Really, it's going to help. It's bringing in a tiny bit more of a minty color along with the mattes, which tended, honestly, that brooding shade, I think, tended to be a little more blue than I was expecting. Still pretty. In fact, I'm going to go back into brooding a smidge, just a smidge. Because my eyes are hooded, when I open, I tend to, you know, the hood conceals part of the lid space. So as I get a little bit older and that hood deepens, I've been looking at the camera with my eyes fully open and applying the shadow to the skin that I see and then filling in the gaps. So right now I just put on a little bit more. So it'll be, if you had looked at my eye closely like a minute ago, you would have seen more. But what I mean is, looking directly at my camera, there was a little bit of a gap here, right here, because I had more of a wing shape with the outer depth, the outer brooding shade. So I'm applying the color here where I see my skin. And then I'll close my eyes and you see the gap. Now I'll just fill in that gap. I want it to be a soft blend, but I do want the depth to not be lost in the crease of my eye. Right, see, isn't that pretty? It was so easy too. For the lower lash line, I think just for fun, I'll take a blue on the lower lash line. There are 3 blues in here I'm considering. They each have different undertones. This is a baby blue, this is a periwinkle, and then this is more of a sky blue. I think these two are pretty close. They're pretty close in undertone. If I were to swatch them next to each other, I would be like, do these both have to be in the palette? I think I don't want the periwinkle because I don't want to bring in purple. So let's go with I'm Fine. Again, it's a pastel, so don't try to blend it. I'm just tapping it where I want it to be. You guys will have to excuse my hair today. It's dirty, and I completely forgot to do anything with my hair between dropping my husband at work, coming home, feeding the kids breakfast, getting ready for piano lessons, and then leaving for piano. I got in the car and I was like, oh, I didn't touch my hair. It was just thrown up in a claw clip from taking my husband to work, like when everybody was partially dressed in pajamas. And then I didn't put on any earrings. Yep, that's what we're doing today. So that's all right. I'll probably go do all of that stuff in a little while, but maybe not, because now I have to get my kids lunch. I brought on I'm Fine into the center area here. I want to pick up buttercream with the same brush and just lay it right on top. Ooh, right on top. You know what, that buttercream shade, what does that remind me of? It reminds me of the Ray shimmer in the Beauty Bay Wilderness palette. Same color, I think. The Ray shimmer is a white shifting green iridescent. It's beautiful. And this buttercream shade is very much like that. It's almost a sagey, yellowy kind of color. Very, very light, quite pastel. And on my skin tone, it pulls slightly more green. Great inner corner highlight. Okay. And now, you know what, just for fun, because it's fun, let's get a really small blending brush like this. I'm going to go back into Sprinkles. I'm going to load up my brush and then spray it. I think I want to put this on the lower lash line. Oh, that's so striking. Should I do the whole lower lash line or just leave it here? Maybe I'll just leave it there. Maybe I'll just pull it into the inner corner area. And I think just cause, with a smudger brush, I'll take brooding in the outer corner. Only the outer corner to tie into that wing. I do not want to cover all of this light blue. So anyway, I'm really enjoying the Sickly Sweet palette. It's great quality. It's honestly exactly what I expected it to be. Expected it to be. It's really, really lovely. It's easy to work with. The quality is wonderful. It's mainly matte, and the Blend Bunny mattes are fantastic, but I'm really enjoying the shimmers as well. So that's it. I will go off camera and do my other eye, and I'll be right back to close out this video. Okay, I ended up changing my lip color because I just couldn't find one that I liked. Nothing seemed to be working with the eyes. I ended up settling on the NYX Smooth Whip Matte Lip Cream in the shade Fuzzy Slippers. In my waterline, I just used white. I did a slight small outer wing, and I also have on mascara, and that's everything. I don't have blush or bronzer or highlighter or anything. I just wanted it to be about the eyes, and the lips were coincidental. That'll wear off, but it's about the eyes for today. So of course, I would love to hear your thoughts. As always, I do enjoy this look. I think it's really pretty, and it was so easy to achieve. This palette is very easy to work with, quite user-friendly. I think maybe not beginner-friendly. There is a difference between user-friendly and beginner-friendly. For beginner-friendly shadows, I tend to think of What's Up Beauty or ColourPop. They have a slightly, maybe I'll say a smooth matte formula, in that the mattes are easy to blend. You know, you can do a nice easy wash of color and build from there. So for beginners, that might be a good thing. But this formula and what I see in Uden's Eye and some of my favorite formulas, Sydney Grace as well, they are still smooth and creamy, but they're a little bit grippier. You know, they stay where you put them, and then you work out the edges. And I just really like that formula. That's how I prefer to apply shadows as well. So when I use ColourPop or Sigma, I don't like how blown out it gets. I want my looks to be a bit more controlled and tame. It's personal preference. So I would say it's very user-friendly, maybe not beginner-friendly, because when I was a beginner, ColourPop was my go-to. Anyway, I digress. I think the look is pretty. I think the palette is beautiful. It's a good time. I would love to know, tell me if you ended up buying the Sugar and Grunge when it was at 50% off. Like I said, I did put a post in my community tab. A couple of people mentioned that they ended up picking it up. Tell me if you're one of them. Have you gotten it? Are you enjoying it? Is it great? Everyone says it's great, so I'd love to hear that you guys are having fun with your eyeshadow. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you clicking on my video. Do consider subscribing if you haven't before and you want to see more content like this, because I upload several videos every week, small children permitting, but I usually manage to squeeze a few in there, and I would love to see you in my next one. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye.